You know, when Springfield Armory came out with the Echelon last year, I thought it had some nice features, but it was only once I shot it that I realized that this is one of the best polymer frame striker fire guns on the market, period. And that's saying a lot considering I've reviewed damn near majority of them, but still there was something very special about that gun. Then they come out with the ported version. Then they came out with the 4.0, and that's what we're going to look at today. And while I'm going to echo some of the things I talked about with the original Echelon and even the ported version or the comped version, I almost feel like they could have taken this one just a little bit different direction and put their own gun out of commission if they would have went this route. I understand why they didn't, but again, I'm going to share my opinion, and it may not be totally popular with a lot of people. I don't know, but however you feel, right? You agree, disagree, whatever, leave your opinion down below. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, first thing I want to say is Springfield Armory sent this one out so I can give you a review on it. So I'm like, all right, cool, you know? Didn't really know a lot about it, but, you know, I had an idea of it. So the first thing that caught my eye was the presentation, right? This thing is playing a freaking introduction to the pistol when I open it up. It's pretty cool, right? This is a reviewer's box, of course, so they make it flashy, and it's just really cool. So anyways, that was the first thing that caught my eye, right? Normally an unboxing is whatever, but in this case, it's a little bit more special than that. Anyway, I open it up and take a look at the features. So here's what we got. Front sight is, of course, a night sight with a bright luminescent dot. Fantastic. Wouldn't change that at all. Maybe make it a little bit more green. That's just me, though. The rear is still a U-notch. I'm not a huge fan of that. I wish they would get rid of that and just go to a square notch. But it does have enough of a shelf there if you don't have an optic that you could get, you know, manipulate that thing. So I do appreciate that. You have a tapering slide here. So this is something they did on the original and they're still doing, which is kind of nice. So essentially you have these really aggressive serrations, and then you have almost like these points in the slide where you literally just can't slip off, right? And that's what they want to do. They want to create positive traction on the gun, no matter where you have the gun, no matter what you're doing, training, drills, whatever, it's raining, hands are sweaty, anything, you have points on the front and on the back of this gun with the little integrated areas on the slide that you can actually pull those off. So remember how HK, or they still do the little polymer ears, right? Springfield said, no, we're just going to mill those into the slide, so there's no chance of that breaking off or anything like that. Really nice job on the slide. It really is one of the better looking slides on the market, and functionally, which is even more important, does a great job. Also, it's fully ambidextrous. This is something that, to me, just makes sense, right, on these guns. Why not just make them fully ambidextrous? Magazine release, slide stop, you got a little ledge there so you can operate this no matter if you're dropping it or you're moving it back to the rear. Even though the controls are small, they still give you a ledge there that you can actually manipulate it. Just simple stuff, but it just makes the pistol better, right? Magazine release works as intended. Undercut under the trigger guard, kind of squared off. Picatinny rail in the front. Indexing pads, right? But then also their adaptive grip texture. To me, it is, I think, the best grip texturing any manufacturer is doing, because not only is it just subtle to the touch, but it just helps your hand just lock in, right? It's just a really nice balance. They put it everywhere it's needed. You also have interchangeable back straps as well. The dot that they sent with it is a Vortex Defender ST. My first time using this dot, actually. So pretty nice there. Trigger. So you hit the wall, very little take up, reset, right? Very little travel, super predictable. It doesn't have to be really light. When you do at least two of those things, make it predictable, little bit of travel. Leaves a little bit of room for error. Not a lot of room, a little bit of room, and that is something I definitely appreciate. You have the central operating group, right, on the inside here, so you can of course swap those. You have a single spring and guide rod there, barrel, all that good stuff, right? Nothing too extraordinary there, except for the fact that you can switch these frames around. Another thing you have, is, depending on the optic, you have their Viz system, which will allow you to mount like 30 different optics without the need for plates. Freaking fantastic idea. One of my favorite features on this gun when it first came out last year. And then we get it to the range, right? So I'm expecting this to shoot pretty much like a full-size Echelon, and it pretty much shot like a full-size Echelon. Absolutely incredible. The dot, by the way, I think it's a little bit too big for the gun or something. I don't know. I think I might move this to something else, maybe another full-size gun, and put something a little bit smaller on here. That's just an aesthetic thing personally, but I will say about this dot, they put some serrations and stuff up on the front, or some stippling, if you will. And that just makes a fantastic place to not only rack it from if you need to, but if you need to rack this thing off of anything, it will stick and stay there as long as you want it. Absolutely fantastic with that, the front face of the optic here. So battery, by the way, is up top where it should be, and then you have a couple of oversized buttons on either side. Absolutely perfect. The thing did a great job, really did. And shooting, like I said, it did everything I wanted it to do. I will say too, with these buttons, they're nice and tactile, audible as well, so you know what you're doing and where you're pressing it. I hate when you get on some of these buttons and they're super small. They like to put them right next to each other, and that makes them even smaller, and then you press them and you're like, oh, did I actually do anything there? With this one, there's no question about it. So definitely not a bad job there. The dot is nice and bright in there. We'll see how long it lasts, but overall the gun shot incredible. So I'm thinking to myself, man, what if they took these features, right? It comes with a 15 and 17 round extended mag, right? So I'm like, man, what if they made these features but they made it into a new Hellcat, right? Because the thing with this gun, it's designed for concealed carry, but somebody like me, I want a thinner option, right? Just a little bit and a little less bulk, right? Because the slide is still wide. It's almost like what we used to call subcompacts, right? Your M&Ps, your Glock 26, that's a great example, right? Where they're still chunky guns, they're just shorter, right? A little bit less weight than their full-size counterparts. This is kind of what that is. And so while it's going to give you some great options as far as mag compatibility and shootability, still probably a little bit too much weight for a lot of people, I would say. So if they were able to get, this is just my thing, but if they were able to get a slimline frame with this texturing and the ability to use these magazines, right? Because remember, your current magazine design in your single stacks, they're not really single stacks anymore, but you know what I'm saying, your slimline 9s, they could probably pull that off. And when I look at the grip compared to even a Hellcat, man, it's not far off, man. I feel like if they could pull that off, give you of course, a more slimline approach to the slide, making the overall package just a little bit less weight and a little bit slimmer with that trigger, these serrations, the Viz system, all of that. Smaller footprints, of course, but still, dude, what a freaking banger that would be. I like the Hellcat Pro, but this is just a much better design all the way around. It's aggressive where it needs to be. It's subtle in other areas where it needs to be. And it shoots just freaking incredible. I think if they did that, they would have one hell of an amazing gun. This one is, for my purposes, I think maybe even if you like carrying outside the waistband, freaking awesome job, right? Great option. Inside the waistband, just for me, a little bit too much weight. So this is something that I could use as a training gun for somebody else, or bedside gun, something like that. But in that case, I'm just gonna go to the full-size Echelon at the end of the day, because that is the bedside pistol that I've been using now for a long time, because it's just that good. So I really like this, but if they were to do an Echelon Slim, that's actually a fantastic name. I should get some kickback or something here. I think that would be great. So there you go, man. That's my opinion. It's a great gun. I just wish they would have slimmed it down and, you know, given us another really great option for concealed carry, because that's what they were going for with this gun. That's just my opinion, though. I'd love to hear yours down below. No matter how you feel, let me know. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.